We're diving into a powerful truth that can shift your entire life. Putting yourself first is not selfish. Many of us have been conditioned to believe that prioritizing our own needs means neglecting others or being selfish, but the reality is quite the opposite. When you take care of yourself, you build inner reserves, strength, and patience and compassion that ripple outward into your relationships and work. Think of your energy as a cup. So it's not quite a cup, it's a bottle. If this is your energy and that's all you've got left, and you've got multiple things to do that day, how do you prioritize your energy and where do you rest and restore? So I did a video on rest if you've not seen that yet. Give that a look because we can get to a place we keep taking from that energy where we've got nothing to give. And when we've got nothing to give, we can get so exhausted that we just want to flake into bed. We struggle to even think about some of the important things. We can get agitated and frustrated with other people in our lives. So it massively affects us. And when we're talking about being selfish and giving yourself some time, initially it's just about giving yourself a little bit of time if you're not giving yourself any time at all. So when you fill your cup up, you will show up more fully, authentically, and joyfully. So in order to experience that, you've got to give this a go. You might notice subtle energy shifts when you start prioritizing yourself. Maybe guilt or resistance arises, and this is the ego's old story about selfishness, trying to hold us back. And if I did some research on selfishness, it would probably come from some ideology around at the time before the Industrial Revolution, because everyone was meant to work hard and be good workers, going into the factories and producing lots of material and goods, to sell. It was probably going further back than that. So these ideas about ourselves, our approach to work, what does work mean? What does performance mean? What does um, supporting yourself mean? And I'm only seeing this sort of in the last decade, really, and in fact, the last 5 years, where we are outwardly and more people are talking about self-care and giving to yourself. So here's the invitation. Observe your feelings, breathe into them, and remind yourself that self-care is radical self-respect. So it's hard to get other people to respect you if you don't respect yourself, and it's hard to get that respect from others if you're not prioritizing your own needs and you just keep agreeing to what everybody else wants to do. So you need to be able to breathe through them. So if you think, oh, I'm going to have an afternoon to myself later or half an hour, and then the phone rings or you get a text and it's not an emergency, and that's what I often say to clients, unless it's an emergency or a priority that you've got timeline on, like a report that has to go to a solicitor, then you work around that. But then if it's not an emergency, then you need to put your phone to one side and say no. But when the feelings come up about, "Oh, I should send them an instant response," lots of people, moment they get a message, are instantly responding, and there's a constant to and fro all day. So not only is that difficult if you're focusing on a particular project, to lock your energy in and really engage with the material, because every time you pick up your phone, I've just wasted 5 seconds, and that doesn't sound much, but that if you're reading a report, an essay, working on something, that really disrupts the flow, and we don't always get that feeling of, yeah, it's all coming out, I'm going to type it up, and that sort of free flow of consciousness, which a lot of writers, artists, creative people know about. The insight and inspiration don't occur when you want it to. It comes in its own way. But the more that you practice mindfulness and meditation, and I've actually got a brilliant book, actually, I'm going to show you. And this is by Rick Rubin, The Creative Act, A Way of Being. And I haven't read it all yet because I'm just going to invite you to stare at that dot or that dot. And it's interesting it's used a dot, because if you just stare at the dot, all of a sudden you realize that your thoughts have gone elsewhere. And when your thoughts come back in and you realize, you just go back to staring at the dot. Anyway, he talks about his whole journey of being a record producer and how he operates, and how, I don't know if he learned mindfulness and meditation first or they just come about. And every section is related to the different facets that have emerged ever since he started becoming more mindful and using meditation. like harmony. We experience more harmony. We get more creative. We start managing our boundaries better. We start looking at our beliefs and values. We might cooperate more. We might let some things be and not get so over involved. We might become more playful. So, great book to look at if you want to go deeper on that. So, self-care and putting yourself first. So the affirmation is, I honor my needs and give myself permission to thrive. Great affirmation. So make sure you write that down. And if you keep forgetting to do anything at all for yourself, put it on a yellow post-it on your laptop, next to your laptop, on your mirror, so that that reminds you. Because as I said in previous videos, we need to do things through repetition for that to start to ingrain itself into our brain. So the card that goes with this is the Empress, which I've no idea if I managed to pull that out earlier. So I may find it in a moment. And the Empress embodies wisdom, nurturing, abundance, and self-care. So if you've got access to the tarot, then do make sure that you find the Empress and there it is. It's a beautiful card, this one. And make sure that you create a foundation. Okay, so you can still be loving and giving and be there for your family. But the Empress asks, how are you nurturing yourself today? And whether or not you're nurturing yourself through your creative ideas that start, you know, in that feminine energy. And feminine energy is softer, and it's when we relax and have space. So the Empress reminds us of that. So it could even be that you put that on your phone if you're busy, 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 is to learn to take a deep breath and connect with that. Okay. So the book recommendation is by Tara Brach, which is Radical Acceptance, a compassionate guide to embracing yourself fully and breaking free from self-judgment. And the song by Alicia Keys, Girl on Fire, the anthem of empowerment and honoring your inner strength. And the research behind this is self-care improves mental health by reducing stress and boosting emotional regulation. So when you rest, your parasympathetic nervous system can come back online and soothe out your nervous system, and you start to feel more focused. You can reflect, meditate, breathe. Whereas if you're constantly busy, it overrides that. And that leads to better self-compassion, self-nurturance, and fostering resilience in your relationships. And the crystal to go with that is the rose quartz, which is the stone of unconditional love and self-love and healing. So the journal prompts are, what does putting myself first mean to you? What fears or beliefs come up when you think about this? How do you physically, mentally, and emotionally feel when you prioritize your own needs? And what small acts of self-care can I commit today that nourish my body, mind, and soul? So write your journal, the questions in the journal, have a think about that. And if it's difficult, start thinking about, do you enjoy a deep soak? Do you like having a shower? There's certain body creams that just make you feel really good. Do you spend time just sitting in the garden, listening to the sound of the trees and the birds? So how do you do that? And it's worth just checking into that and making more time to do that, and being aware of what thoughts can get in the way. Because like I said, that critical internal dialogue of, you need to get up, stop it, you're being lazy, all of that can go on inside. And if we keep paying attention to it, we keep adding fire to those thoughts, it's going to be much harder to let go of them. So like and subscribe to my page if you haven't already, and keep aware of the extra videos that I'm recording that go along with this, because like you guys, that when I sit down, chill out, and have some time to myself, lots of other ideas come. That's when I get highly creative. So I look forward to hearing from you, or check me out on my website, melaniegabbick.com, or set up a 3-session Kickstarter process with me.